Today is the day I'm starting construction on the car. We did the first steps of construction back home, which was taking out the back seats of the car, and then we also put a roof rack storage on so that we could store more stuff on our road trip. But now comes the actual part of building the bed frame and additional storage underneath to keep the rest of our stuff. To stick with the theme of building things this week, I thought I'd tell you the story of how I built my paddleboard. It all started when I visited my sister in sunny Hawaii. And I saw people surfing and of course paddleboarding, and I thought that it would be an awesome thing to have up at the cottage. But I knew right off the bat that I wanted to make one instead of buying one because I knew how ridiculously expensive one was to buy. And I thought that, hey, I could build one for cheaper and it would have more meaning to me because I actually built it with my own hands. So that's how I came up with the decision that I was going to build it myself. Once I had a design idea in my head, I went ahead and bought 2 pieces of 3-inch foam insulation, some caulking, and wooden dowels. I put the wooden dowels on one of the pieces of insulation for added durability once I caulked the 2 pieces of insulation together. Once they were caulked together, now became the tedious task of shaping the paddleboard. I used a bunch of different tools to shape the board into its final stage of what it is now. I used an electric sander, I used a cheese grater. Yeah, I used a cheese grater, but it actually worked really well. And then I also used some other sorts of sandpaper that basically stripped away particle by particle until I finally got a shape that I was happy with. After I finished shaping it, I enlisted the help of my dad with the fiberglassing portion of the board. Having never done any fiberglass work myself, and I knew my dad had, I knew his help would be definitely greatly appreciated. When it came to the fiberglass portion of the board, we did 2 layers of fiberglass. So first we put the cloth down, put the epoxy on top of it, smoothed it out, and then let it dry. Once it was dry, we sanded down any buildups of the epoxy before we applied the second layer, which was the same thing. We did another layer of cloth and epoxy, let it dry, and then we gave it a final sand to get its final shape. After that, I brought the board all the way up to the cottage and I painted it, and I added a yoga mat for a standing area. And that's the story of how I built my paddleboard. I built it, I believe, 3 years ago, and every time I come up to the cottage, I always use it. So when I saw it in Hawaii for the first time and thought it'd be a good idea to build one, well, let me tell you, I'm happy that I actually built one, because they are actually really fun. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for this week. There's going to be more building to come in the car, and you'll see that, and more adventures. So, see you next week.